the City of Geneva. I'm Alderman Jean McGowan from the 4th Ward, along with Alderman Radecki. And I'd like to note that all aldermen are here with the exception of Alderman Marks, and Mayor Burns is away this evening as well, attending a special function for a local nonprofit. So before we get started, I'd like to ask everyone to please join me in a moment of silence in observation of today being Patriots' Day. Okay, thank you. So we'll begin tonight's meeting with item number 2 on our agenda, which is to approve the Committee of the Whole minutes from August 28th, 2017. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Okay, motion by Alderman Kilberg, second by Alderman Cummings. Is there any discussion, any questions from the council or from the members of the audience? Okay, hearing none and seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, then moving on to number 3 on the agenda, it's the public hearing to consider cable television franchise agreement with CMN RUS Inc. Can I get a motion? Okay, moved by Alderman Cummings. Is that a second by Alderman Kilburn? Okay. Discussion, any questions? Or I believe, okay, and Kathy Scheller is here to, is there a presentation that you'd like to give or just answer any questions?
Give an overview of what you're...
Good evening, members of council. Stephanie, my name is Kathy Scheller. I'm in External Affairs with Metronet. As you might recall, at the beginning of the year, I came here and gave an introductory presentation regarding our organization. We're a fiber optic company that provides internet, cable, as well as phone services through a direct fiber connection. We are currently deploying fiber throughout the region, and this actually tonight will be our 10th discussion regarding local franchises in the state of Illinois. What we're looking forward to is coming into communities and working with citizens and residents and offering them a choice. We believe competition is a good thing for every community. We've enjoyed working in Illinois and are really pleased with the success that we've had. And as I mentioned, we have been deploying fiber in the area for about the last 2 years. Our most current local franchise approval came in Batavia last week. So we were all in this region providing that fiber optic connection.
Are there any questions for Kathy? Alderman Ruby?
Can you explain what is the advantage of fiber, and do you have competitors, or are you the only one offering fiber?
A fiber optic connection, it's the best technology available. And we do have competitors, but we believe that we're basically the only fiber provider in this area that's a direct connection. The advantages of fiber are, as we move forward with technology, it's basically foolproof. It is the best technology available, and it's an opportunity for residents to be able to have a direct connection, not only with their internet, but also their television and phone, should they choose to do so.
Do you know offhand, would your rates be comparable or more expensive than Comcast, for example?
Our rates are comparable, and sometimes actually they are less expensive than Comcast as well.
And you think that your service would provide a faster internet, potentially?
A direct fiber connection is, the best way to describe it is when you connect to Metronet or a provider that provides a direct fiber connection, the only devices that are on your bandwidth are yours. So a lot of times the difference with our competitors or whomever is that they go to the node or the neighborhood. Our company takes that strand of fiber and takes it to your home or your business. The only devices on there's no buffering, would be yours. Our lowest offering is 100 down, 50 up. We go all the way to a gig to the home. And we provide, and all we have to do if someone decides to move or advance from 100 up to a gig or 500 is just really turn a dial. It's the best technology available.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions, comments? Alderman Burgard?
I think, I agree with you. I think competition's always a good thing. What's MetroNet's stance on net neutrality?
Um, so
In
what-
terms of, is MetroNet going to make a deal with, Netflix so that Netflix shows get to my house quicker than Hulu shows or something like that?
No, we don't do that.
Are there any, like, overage fees for,
There are no overage fees, and we do not buffer.
and what does it take for MetroNet to come in and say I'm on my block and I want MetroNet service, but no one else on my block signs up? Does that mean it's not going to come my way?
No, basically, our footprint in Geneva is the entire community. So what we will do is we pass every house and every home. If you choose to have us, that's great. If you choose not to, that is fine as well. We will deploy our infrastructure in the public right-of-way. Should someone decide to use our services, then we will make a drop of that fiber to that person's home.
Okay. So there's no certain number, that threshold that has to be met to sign up for MetroNet for, like I said, I could be maybe the only person on my block that signs up for the service.
Right,
but
so
it would be
what
the-
will happen is when we've presented a map to the city of Geneva, and that will be our initial footprint. If you're not in that initial city area, then we will work with you on trying to attempt to achieve the level of penetration that we would need to be there.
That would be, what if we had some unincorporated, I saw the map, I mean, there's those little donut holes, like, okay. Right.
And we're also working with Kane County on achieving our local franchise for those unincorporated areas as well.
Thank you.
Alderman Brudon?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So is this fiber to the structure, or can you bring fiber to the desktop in?
So what it will be is, once the infrastructure is there, and we call, again, when we pass a house or a business, there's the accessibility point at that time. So what will happen is, in a different tech group would come out and we would attach the strand of fiber to the side of the house, a box, whereby then you'd have a router whereby you'd be wireless throughout your home on the fiber connection.
Or it's entirely wireless in the home? To the point of your build-out, I saw something, I don't have it in front of me. There's got to be some. I believe you request some minimum buy-in by the population before you start deploying the architecture. I think one in. I don't want to jump ahead outside the public hearing. You're not going to deploy all your equipment for Alderman Burkhart alone. You've got to have some minimum buy-in.
Right, so what we've done is, when we come into the city of Geneva, we're essentially providing a map whereby we will be constructing the initial city boundaries of Geneva. If someone lives outside those boundaries or is in, we go by density. That is how we find the best way for a win-win in deploying fiber. We work closely with staff on coming up with that original map for our initial deployment. Typically what will happen is, and this is consistent language that we've had with all 10 of our local franchise agreements, typically what will happen if there's a person, one person who's not in that initial build-out, which we've come to agreement with the city, what we would do is request to see how many people in that area would request our service.
Then there's a note in here too that, and I'll just read it out loud here. Upon completion of the final network, let me skip ahead. The final map may be different from the map described above based on actual engineering data, and shall not substantially be different. If the grantee is unable to obtain rights to use private property on reasonable terms, grantee will not be able to build out those areas. For the most part, you're going to be using our poles, our rights of way. So that seems to be done. What sorts of private property issues do you run into?
So typically, it's not really an issue, but when we come across private property, sometimes there's, a retirement community or something that is private. They don't have public roads or right-of-ways. What we do is we get a utility access agreement with them, and then we are able to provide that service. We just can't go in there because there's not public roads or right-of-ways.
I think I had one more, maybe that was it. That's it for now, thank you.
Alderman Radecki?
You have 10 municipalities that you're doing business with now in Illinois. What was the first one? What's your longest running agreement that you have right now? How long?
Well, currently, our first one was 3 years ago with Plainfield.
In Plainfield? What's your
Yes.
penetration in that market right now?
In Plainfield, we're about 11 to 12%,
About 11 to 12.
and we're still building.
Right. And how long ago did you get your agreement approved in Batavia?
Last week.
Just last week. Okay, thank you.
So we're going to assume low penetration there right now.
Yes.
Other questions, comments? Alderman Burgard?
I mean, my question's for Stephanie. I mean, what's the risk to the city for approving, this is a
Yeah, I would say there's limited risk as long, they have to abide by our rules to be in our right of ways. So there may be a disruption to the community, but beyond that, it's a short-term disruption.
Thank you.
Alderman Bruno?
Thank you. I remember my other question. Putting things in rights of way. Can you describe what, I presume it's going to be a box on a parkway, would be a typical
No,
piece?
no, what we do when we come into a community in this area, what we'll have, technology is really advanced. So we do not have a big box any longer. In the public right-of-way, you might see a pedestal. We're also going to all underground now as well, so that might not even be visible at that point as well. So there's no big boxes in the middle of the street anymore or at the corner. That technology is not what we use at all. We'll have a big building, which is a hut. That is sort of the brains of our operation in this region. We'll operate out of that hut, but there will not be any boxes.
Thank you.
Alderman Kilberg?
From your previous history here in Illinois, what would be the 3 or 4 primary reasons why someone would convert to your product? Obviously, a lot of Comcast users here in Geneva. What would be 3 or 4 selling points as it relates to your product versus their product right now?
Well, I think the first and foremost would be, a selling point would be it's a direct fiber connection.
Right.
Which is something that is not currently available. The second piece that I think is compelling in just the work that I do is for residents to try this type of technology, there is no contract. So if we pass a resident's home and they would like to try that product to see the benefits of that type of speed, that type of non-buffering differential, they're welcome to do so. Thirdly, I think that it's important to note that this type of technology is something of the future. So people can know that as bandwidth needs continue to increase, this is the type of infrastructure that communities are looking to achieve in order for their citizens, especially those who maybe telecommute from home or work from home, can have access to.
So you're saying those 3 points would be, if you did a survey of your customers currently in Illinois, those 3 points would come before economics then, and that your rates are going to be more attractive. Would you make that statement?
Our rates are attractive. I think that that's really the primary reason is the customer service as well as the ability of that bandwidth.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I have a question if you don't mind, Ms. Schiller. I'm, slowly and surely becoming more and more familiar with fiber optics and the many benefits, but what type of service disruptions have current customers of Metronet experienced, if any? And what would be the cause of those? And it's a two-part question. And if there are any equipment failures due to weather or who knows what the reason is, how is that dealt with And are any of those repair costs passed on to the consumer?
The repair cost is not passed on to the consumer. We manage our own fiber optics, so we manage our program. What we provide is a very redundant connection. So when we find our way into a community, we're very big about ringing it. So something that can cause this to happen for the major lines to be cut is if someone cuts them in construction, someone cuts them, the weather could be a problem. We roll trucks 24/7 if something should occur to the end consumer. Again, we pride ourselves really on the customer service factor. We have local people that will be here, local technicians that will be here in the area to work through any issues that anybody would have. But that's pretty rare.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, Alderman Radecki.
Are your repair people, will you sub that out to local independents, or are they employees of your group?
They will be employed by our organization.
Alderman Kilberg.
One last question I forgot to ask. What considerations are given to other governmental bodies in the city, library, school district? Are there any benefits as it relates to those public entities?
In other municipalities that we are currently in, we work with the municipality on determining if they would want us to serve those areas.
Okay.
We currently offer fiber to the schools through the
Right.
city, so.
Right.
So
it
that'll
wasn't-
continue?
So, yeah,
That
so
would
that
continue to-
won't change.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Okay, is there a motion? Or, sorry. Okay. I moved, okay,
Right. I'd move that we close the hearing at this time.
okay, moved by Alderman Kilberg, is there a second?
Second?
I heard Alderman Bruno. Okay, so all in favor to close this discussion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on then to item number 4 on the agenda, items of business. 4A is to recommend approval of special event application from the Geneva Chamber of Commerce for 2017 Christmas Walk and House Tour, which will take place December 1st through 2nd, 2017. Do I have a motion? Moved by Alderman Burgard, second by Alderman Swanson. Any questions? And I know Geneva Chamber of Commerce President Jean Gaines is here in case anyone has anything. Okay. Is there a motion? Or Alderman Burgard?
Jean, do you want to reveal the addresses of the houses of the Christmas walk? I'm joking. I'm always excited to see which houses are going to be up.
Well, you'll be surprised and you'll be very
Delighted. Thank you.
Okay, the answer for anyone who couldn't hear, listening at home, we will all be very surprised and delighted, of course. We knew that. So is there a motion then? Oh, sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. It's unanimous. Okay, item number 4B is to recommend draft ordinance adopting a cable television franchise agreement for a period of 10 years with CMN-RUS Inc. Okay, moved by Alderman Cummings,
Second.
second by Alderman Bruno. Any questions or discussion regarding this recommended draft resolution? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on then to item 4C, which is to recommend draft resolution approving a pole attachment agreement with Metro FiberNet LLC. Moved by Alderman Ruby, second by Alderman Swanson. And then if I may ask Ms. Dawkins, point of clarification, can you please explain the connection just between, we have MetroNet, FiberNet LLC, and then CMN-RUS Inc. Is it one and the same or different?
Yeah, so, and Kathy will correct me if I'm wrong, but CMN is a subsidiary of MetroNet Holding LLC, and then they have an affiliate of Metro FiberNet LLC. So CMN, MetroNet Holdings LLC, and Metro FiberNet LLC are all collectively referred to as MetroNet. So they're all interrelated, but they all do different functions of that organization.
All right, wonderful. Thank you for clarifying that, just in case anyone had the same question. So we were on item 4C. We had a motion and a second, so all in favor? Were there any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, all in favor? Okay. Moves unanimously. And moving on to item number 4D, which is recommend draft resolution approving a preliminary / final plat of subdivision for South Street Estates subdivision - M&C Realty.
So moved.
Motion moved by Alderman Cummings. I heard second by Alderman Swanson. Any questions? Yes, Alderman Radecki.
Yeah, I guess I have one question, and maybe for the, this in no way, shape, or form will affect the access to the bike path via the footbridge, the subdivision.
Short answer is no, but if David likes to elaborate, he may.
Just wanted to make sure I got on the mic. It won't affect that connection to the bike path, no.
Okay, any other questions? I saw Alderman Kilberg and then Alderman Burgard.
With the construction of the third rail, or the third track, does that impact the north side where this construction would be taking place, or is that apart from it? It won't impact that site, will it? Maybe Rich can answer that. Those two sites, those two lots.
No, the construction for the third,
It's on the south
it will be on the south side of the tracks at this point.
Just wanted to be sure. Thanks.
Okay, and Alderman Burgard?
My question's for David. Can you talk about the sidewalk agreement in this case? Instead of the sidewalk being located on the side of the development, it'll be across the street to combine two
Sure.
stubs or orphan sidewalks?
Right now on the, it would be on the west side of River Lane, we have a sidewalk that kind of stubs when it gets to South Street. And then on First Street, on the east side of First Street, the same thing. The sidewalk kind of stubs to South Street. The South Street right-of-way is kind of shifted to the north, so the backup curb on the south side of the street is really close to the property line of the new lots. So there's not really enough room there to accommodate a sidewalk and the existing utility poles. But there's enough parkway on the north side of the street to provide a sidewalk and make that missing link connection.
And so you think this is a good compromise or good
I
good
do.
development?
I think it's the more logical connection to make than having it on the south side, given that there is enough right-of-way and that's where the existing sidewalk stubs are.
And how do the neighbors feel that are going to be getting a new sidewalk?
There was testimony provided at the Plan Commission meeting that the neighbor on the First Street side was comfortable with the connection. There was some concern raised by the neighbor on the corner of River and South about impacts on his existing tree, and that they have a new driveway poured, but the design that was submitted accommodates for that tree and does not go through the existing driveway because it's a concrete driveway. It stubs to the driveway and then begins again on the other side.
Well, as a fan of sidewalks, I'm glad for some creative thinking on this one. It seems like this makes sense. We get the sidewalks. We kind of make an important connection, and it sounds good for the neighborhood. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none and seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes unanimously. And then moving on to number 5 on the agenda tonight, new business. Is there any new business? Yes, Alderman Radecki.
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, Gene Gaines, congratulations on Festival of the Vine. I mean, what a tremendous success. I don't know if it's my imagination, but it seems like that festival is mushrooming, that it's just spreading out more over, we wanted to include more of the town years ago, and it seems like it's really happening. So, great job with that. Yeah, great job with that. The other thing is I'd like to thank Joe Stanton for hosting a party for ex-Alderman Ron Singer. We had it at the American Legion Hall last Thursday. There were probably about 150 people showed up and attended that, and I'd like to thank all the aldermen that attended, so thank you.
And anyone else? New business? Okay, do I motion to adjourn then?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, I'm gonna say I heard Alderman Bruno and then Alderman Radecki. All right, it's wonderful. Thank you so much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.